Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, Steve-O. Wait. Testing 1, 2. Go ahead, wife.
All right. Hello.
A little bit more than hello would be helpful.
Good morning.
Put your headphones on. I got you special
just a
headphones.
minute.
Put them on. Go to bed, get it bed. Well, what do you expect? I don't know what you expect. 3 minutes. 3 minutes to midnight. Number 2. Nope, you got no connection. So headphones are right there. So you're number 2. 3 minutes.
Okay.
How's the sound, everybody? We sound okay? Hello, Ray. Only Mad Dogs and Englishmen and Beach Talk Radio. Ray's such a good guy. How come you're not out fishing, Ray? It's a great day for fishing, isn't it? Don't the fish come to the surface when it's raining? Or is that a myth?
No, I think that is a myth.
They don't come popping out of the surface?
No, I think
to the surface?
They go deeper where it's calm.
Oh, wait, you can't even see you. You're not even on the camera
Okay.
to fix that. Oh, there you
That's
are.
all right. We don't need that.
Good thing. Let's see.
Did you see? I lost my hat out on the pier.
No.
Took it right away.
But it's a lovely day on the beach, everybody.
Oh,
Come on
this
down.
is bad. I can't see without them.
Come on down to the beach. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. You're fine.
It's a good day to come down and have something to eat.
Yeah, come on inside. Loud and clear, Steve says. All right. Everything is live. Different angle on YouTube. Sit up so our bellies aren't scrunched down.
Well,
you can see the extra
I would
blubber.
like to put in for a stool
raise?
with a backrest.
Okay, well we'll need another sponsor for that. We have plenty of sponsors, though. I apologize for not being able to get everyone's sign up, but
yeah,
that's the way it goes. All right, 1 minute before we start it all. We start it all off here. I got to make sure I press the right one. You have to shut your little bird off, please.
I don't know how to do that. Uh-oh.
Can't have your bird going off when we start the show. Here. Less than a minute, everybody. We're doing this for the radio audience. We edit out the beginning for the radio audience because we got to hear Gene. Got it bad, got it bad, got it bad. Chicago. Stan, what is the temperature in Chicago at 9 o'clock in the morning? All right, you ready, wife?
Yep.
All right, here we go. We're going to start the radio show.
The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Peach Time Out in the heart of Times Square, you're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio. Today, Saturday, October the 19th, 2019. We're broadcasting live from Pete's Time Out on Fort Myers Beach. We are live with video on both Facebook and YouTube. And we hope that you'll subscribe to our YouTube page and like us on Facebook. We're slowly building both. We're up to 1,672 likes and follows on Facebook. I have no idea if that's a lot. So if you're really bored, please leave us a review on Facebook. That would be super cool. Do that whenever you can, but watch the show. Yeah, a nice review if you think it's nice. Or if you work at the Lonnie Kai, you can leave a bad review. Had to get that in right at the beginning. And our Facebook Live feed is sponsored by the Salty Dog Gallery and Gifts on Estero Boulevard. And we'll be telling you more about those folks later in the show. Carla and her fascinating place down there. It's a lovely place. If you'd rather listen to the show and not have to look at you-know-who, then you can listen live on beachtalkradio.com, the free Beach Talk Radio app, and iHeartRadio. You can put all those on your phone and choose one to listen on, or you can listen at any time when you have the time on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. We want to say hello to everybody listening on the Florida Podcast Network. And if you're watching live on Facebook, as you can see, the chat box is open, and you're welcome to ask questions of our guests today, or just say hello, or say hello to your friends in Chicago, or say hello to Kim's dad, Dave, who's in Orlando today. All right, so our first guest today, let me give you some history of our first guest. In the summer of 2017, 16-year-old Zach Martin was on the football field at Riverdale High School. Zach and his teammates were practicing. They were running sprints. The temperature, as it is on most days in Southwest Florida in July, was in the 90s. Zach got overheated, but like all competitive athletes, he didn't want to let his teammates down, and he didn't stop. In a lawsuit filed against the Lee County School Board, the football coach, James Delgado, and Lee County EMS, Zach's family says the coach told Zach he'd be kicked off the team if he stopped the drills to get water. On that day, June 29, 2017, Zach Martin collapsed and was taken to Golisano's Children's Hospital. His core temperature was 107 degrees, and he went into a coma. On July 6, 2017, Zach was transported to Children's Hospital in Miami for more specialized care. And on July 10, 2017, Zach was removed from life support. The 6'5", 320-pound 16-year-old boy known as the Gentle Giant was gone. After losing Zach, his family set up the Zach Martin Memorial Foundation. The website is zachmartinfoundation.com, and the goal of the organization is to provide education, awareness, and prevention equipment to athletes, coaches, and parents about heat stroke and heat illness. Laurie Giordano is Zach's mom. Laurie joins us this morning to talk about the foundation. Laurie, thanks so much for coming on the show this morning. We appreciate you coming down.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Laurie, if you could first, if we can go back a little bit, first of all, how's your family doing?
They're doing okay. You know, everybody is moving forward and, making a difference. And we've got, Connor at University of Florida. He's a freshman this fall. And then Nick is playing on Dunbar's freshman football team this year and really loving it. So he is wearing number 72 in memory of his brother. We're all just sort of moving together, moving forward together, and just making sure that we get the message out there that, heat illness is 100% preventable and 100% survivable.
So you believe Zach should still be alive today because of what took place?
Yes, he absolutely should. If he had gotten the care that he needed in those first, crucial minutes, there's been 100% survival rate when cold water immersion is used promptly on site. And, there's tons of stories that have been told by people who've experienced heat illness that when they've had this cold water immersion to bring that core temperature down very quickly, when the heat illness is happening, they go to the hospital, they get checked out, and they're back home with their families that evening, and no long-term effects. So it doesn't always work out that there are no long-term effects. There's other times that they don't get in the water as quickly, and there's a recovery period that has to happen after that. But they're still alive.
So what do you think went wrong that day?
I think, the first thing that was wrong was 911 wasn't called when he went down. That first and foremost was the biggest miss. And the fact that, the cold water immersion tubs that they had were not out on the field ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those ideas. Oh, it's rare. It'll never happen here. It'll never happen to me. And it does. It happens a lot. And they being legislators did a survey of Florida schools, and the athletic directors and athletic trainers were the ones who filled out this survey. And what they found was that heat illness actually occurs hundreds of times every year in Florida in high schools. And it's either, treated promptly on site, or it's caught soon enough that they don't go into full heat stroke.
Sure.
And so that's why dying from it, you don't hear about very often, but it actually is happening hundreds of times.
Sure.
And this is just during the school year.
Right.
This doesn't include the summer months when it actually, I think, happens more often and people just don't know.
So the first error was 911 wasn't called.
Correct.
Then what?
Then when the ambulance arrived, there was a delay when they arrived. Fire and rescue came first, but they weren't able to transport. So we had to wait for an actual ambulance to transport. When they got there just seemed to be some confusion about what was happening. And so it wasn't like they just bundled him up immediately, put him in the ambulance and took him.
Mm-hmm.
It took several minutes. And when I say several minutes, I mean like 10, 15 minutes to even get him in the ambulance. And then they transported him down to Golisano Children's Hospital from Buckingham. So that was another 25-minute drive, even by ambulance.
Right.
And so tell us about, in the wake of all of this tragedy for you guys have created this Be Hip.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. We decided, when we lost Zach, there was so much promise, and there was so much of an asset that this community lost. He, if anyone has heard me talk, they know that he was a born protector, and that really played into his offensive line position. That's why he was called the Gentle Giant. He even took some kids sort of under his wing at school who were sort of having a little bit of a struggle, in high school, and he sort of took them in, was like, I'll take care of them. And, these are things that we didn't know anything about until after he had already passed away. We had no idea that he had been, he had reached out to his peers, and that so they had so much respect for him, for his kindness. And so beyond that, he wanted to be a police officer. And again, plays right into that protective mode.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his that's how he would have affected this community. They would have had someone who was dedicated, to really upholding the law and protecting the citizens. And so I just said, you know what, we're not going to take a loss. I'm not going to just say, oh, well, we've lost him. There's nothing else that can be done. And so my husband and I were talking, and I said, even if he had survived, once we started looking into this and understanding how easy it is to set up cold water immersion, and the 100% survivability, he would totally be in on that. Like he would make sure that his peers knew about that. He would make sure that there were cold water immersion tubs. And I said, well, that's what we're going to do. That's going to be his legacy. He's still going to be protecting other kids. And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to start off by just making sure every high school has cold water immersion tubs.
Wow.
So how is that going? I mean, are you going out to the high schools yourself and you trying to educate them? Do you do assemblies? Tell us how you're doing it.
Well, we have done a few, not assemblies necessarily at the high schools. We have done with independent sports groups, youth sports groups, and talked with them about signs and symptoms, especially with your peers, because you're out there with them every single day, know when they're not acting right, and something's wrong. And then, how to prepare, how to do that. But then we're just going county by county and, making sure that every public high school in the county has cold water immersion tubs. And Collier County already had cold water immersion tubs at every school. Lee County had got, most of them had them. There was a couple that didn't. We gave one to the new Bonita Springs High School.
Okay. And
then we gave 3 to not Port Charlotte, but Charlotte County. And then Hillsborough County, we donated 22 tubs. So we have pictures coming in slowly but surely from them.
Great.
Delivering those. And then last 2 weeks ago, I delivered to DeSoto County High School and then Highlands County, which is Sebring, Avon Park, and Lake Placid.
Wow.
How much does one of those tubs cost?
Stealing all my questions.
They're $150.
Oh my gosh.
Give or take a few bucks.
You probably got your garage filled with them now.
Well, yeah. We try to give them away as quickly as we get money. For the schools that are further away, we buy them from Tractor Supply Company, their stock tanks, basically.
Nice. Right.
And we get the big 150-gallon tanks so that their biggest player fits. And usually there's a Tractor Supply Company in every town.
Yeah,
and so we order them and they go and pick them up and, then they've got it.
Were any changes made to Riverdale as a result of what happened and what you're doing?
Not to my knowledge.
No, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm surprised by that. I thought, well, I guess that would be admitting guilt if they made changes as a result of that. Do you?
That's the only thing I can assume.
Yeah.
Are the tanks, is it one tank per school or should they have more? Like, what's the recommendation for?
Well, we want to make sure they have at least one because so many schools don't even have one. Or they're using something that could work in an emergency, but we want them to have something that is, this is easier to use. These have drains on them and, it's just easier to use.
Right. So I was looking on your, on the website and it was either your website or the UConn website because there's the Corey Stringer Institute. Right. Mm-hmm. And are you guys hooked up with them?
I'm an ambassador for Corey Stringer Institute. Dr. Casa is considered the leading expert on exertional heat illness and heat stroke. So we work with them a lot. We've learned a lot from them.
Yeah, they had a great video or was on your video about the, I want to make sure I get it, the taco.
Oh, the taco method. Yeah, the tarp assisted cooling. Yes.
So what is the tub? Is it just a tub that you throw ice and water in, or tell us exactly what it does?
So what's recommended is that at the beginning of any practice, these tubs get dragged out. They're maybe 50 pounds. So super easy. I can lift them, pull them out. And you put them under a tent, fill it about 3/4 of the way with water, and just leave it in case you need it. But what you've got to have is ice, either available or sitting there, usually 40 to 50 pounds. And what you want to do is if you've got a player that goes down, you want to get them in that water with the ice, start oscillating to keep that water cold, to bring that core temperature down as quickly as possible. And even in 40-degree water, which is about as cold as you can get it with that much ice, the temperature still only comes down about 1 degree every 3 to 5 minutes, just depending. And so the old fear of going into shock, we've had to educate on that as well, that it's absolutely not going to happen when there's heat stroke.
And what about educating the kids on the field about, look, you guys, I know you're manly man, but when you start feeling this sign, that sign, you need to let your coach know, and maybe you come and sit out, or maybe you pop in the tank for a couple of, whatever.
Yeah. I think a big part of what we're trying to do is really not change, but make a shift in the culture of football, which has had a tendency towards a very militarized work ethic. Don't let your brothers down. This is family. This is and that works as far as building a team. But you have kids that are never going to stop. If the coach says go, they're going to go. They don't want to let their team down. They want to be on that team. They don't want to let their coach down. And you have to know, the coach has to know which kids those are.
Well, there's nothing unmanly about staying hydrated and always having water and Gatorade and electrolytes.
Yes.
I mean, it just, to me, it's almost common sense this summer, especially down here.
Yes.
This is a silly example, but even the class that I taught, we were constantly making sure everybody had water because, people are competitive. They challenge each other.
Exactly.
And if you don't yell at them to have water, to take water, to squirt water on them, they're not going to.
Right. That's one of the other things that we've talked about a lot is Zachary was probably the most hydrated boy on that team. He was known for carrying a gallon jug of water with him everywhere and refilling it during the day. He knew he needed to hydrate, and he did that. But what studies have shown is hydration isn't the end all be all. Hydration doesn't stop heat stroke. Hydration definitely plays into it. You need to be hydrated. It's sort of a fine line. You don't want to downplay it, but you also need to understand that you can be completely hydrated and still have heat stroke.
I mean, you can be hydrated and this is something separate. That's not necessarily going to keep your core temperature down.
Right.
So
Yes.
there's two things they need to be aware of, and not just with water, but as you said, with electrolytes. And the other thing is everybody's physiology is different.
Correct.
So what one kid can do completely dehydrated in a lot of heat, another kid cannot do. And everybody, even the person may not know, hey, our daughter is very susceptible to heat. And we've always had to be on guard for that.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. You've got some people who run hotter than others, so they're going to heat up faster and maintain that longer than another person. Obviously, body fat levels go into that. So your offensive linemen, all of your linemen are really at risk more so than the leaner runners. But it does happen to long distance runners. So again, it's not any one particular thing. It's basically you have to be on your toes. You have to be looking at your players in the eye, talking to them. They have to be giving you intelligent answers. It's almost the same idea as with concussions. You're always talking to them. You're always making eye contact because that's one of the first signs of heat stroke is CNS dysfunction.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're not answering correctly or they're not focused.
Is there a push maybe to, because they have the concussion protocol. They have a protocol for that. Is there a push maybe to develop a heat exhaustion protocol that could be utilized?
Right. Yes, absolutely. University of Connecticut has been very vocal with that. And the National Association, the National Athletic Trainers Association, NATA, has been very proactive and vocal as well about protocols and what should be done. So we have partnered with other places here in Florida who are really pushing for that protocol to be mandatory with the Florida High School Athletic Association. But 2 years in a row, they have voted against mandating.
No kidding.
Yeah, they don't want to mandate them.
Do you think you'll need to get some kind of congressman involved or something like that at some point?
It seems like we're going to need to do something like that. FHSAA has been very adamant that they are not going to make anything mandatory without legislation.
Gotcha.
And, legislation says, no, that's FHSAA's job. And so we're sort of stuck in this limbo right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
the more publicity, the better.
Exactly.
Because congressmen always want to get in front of a microphone or a television camera. And if they're doing something positive, then they're all for it. Rah,
yes.
rah.
Yeah.
So tell us more about the organization. What are some of the things that you're doing to help raise money so that you can buy the things that you want to pass around to the schools?
Yeah. We're doing the typical, selling T-shirts, selling armbands. We just did some new armbands that, have the Be Hip logo on them, which is Be Educated on Heat Illness Prevention.
Nice.
So we've got, stickers, tattoos. We're also doing, we're gearing up for videos, 30-second videos.
Mm-hmm.
And, basically 30 to 60 seconds, just giving one piece of advice, for every, for like way in, way out. This is how you know how much water loss you've had during this workout. And for every 2 pounds you lose, drink a bottle of water, and just some of these easy things so that these kids can start advocating for themselves,
right,
and keeping themselves healthy and understanding this is what I need to do because nobody else is going to look out for this. Nobody else is going to weigh in, weigh out. Nobody else is going to ask me if I've drank enough water. There's all these things that they need to be educated on, and nobody's giving them that education. So we want to fill that gap. And, in the meantime, we also want to fill the gap of educating coaches and educating administration and, getting them to understand that this is really an easy step. It's, and 100% survivable. I mean, you can't get better than that.
Right. Do you have also a way for people to donate if they wanted to come on the page and hit PayPal or something like that?
Yeah.
There?
Yep. It's right on our website. You can, we do have a new website that's very easy to remember, and it's www.behip.life, L-I-F-E. And that takes you right to our page. You can donate any amount of money. There's also, a button if you just want to donate $150 for a tub. We try to make it very, very easy. We also have people who want to partner with us, and they've gone to their own schools and talked to them. They start with us and say, what do I need to tell them? What do I need to do? And we sort of walk them through that and give them an outline, and they go to their schools. And, we've had 2 or 3 so far that have bought tubs for their own schools, right, and have been very well received. And, so those things we're really excited about.
I think the other thing, like you said, is getting the education out, not only to coaches and athletic, but just the general public, because there's a lot they can do if they see their kid, another kid, whether it's high school football or on the weekend, youth football, that it's cool first and then transport.
Exactly. And it's not just football.
Right.
We've tried to push that, band, they practice in the summer, they practice on blacktops. They're out there for a long time. Cheerleading, things
soccer.
That you wouldn't, soccer, baseball, where they're just standing out there, things that you don't normally think of. It happens. And so we did a video as well. It's on our website. And we had the input of Dr. Casa from University of Connecticut. We also had the input of a athletic trainer who has been just so supportive of us. He's actually in the video. Jim Mackey, and he helped us sort of put everything together. And we did a video that is strictly for non-medical personnel. You don't need to diagnose anything. It's just, here's the symptoms you're seeing. Here's what you need to do, and it's very basic, but I think that also has the taco method in it at the end. Mm-hmm. And I think it just empowers. So people can look at that and say, okay, well, I don't have a tub. I don't have a way of taking a tub to my youth football field, but I can take a tarp and I can take, 20 pounds of ice, mm-hmm. and I can put a kid in this tarp, put some ice in there and some water, and, take some of the ice on the sideline and cool this kid down while 911 is coming.
Because something is better than nothing.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And and it's not just, if you're out at a baseball, we live in Florida. Mm-hmm. We're outside. People are outside at events all the time.
Yes, exactly.
So people need to be aware, whether it's someone old or young, again, you just don't know.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So do you have any anything coming up in the near future that is going to be local that people can go see you guys at, or any fundraisers coming up, anything like that you want to promote?
We actually don't have a fundraiser scheduled. We are getting ready to do our, year-end fundraisers. Mm-hmm. Those things take a lot of time and effort to put together. We do a lot of fundraising on Facebook because that just seems to be a very central location.
For sure.
People are comfortable with that. Those portals for donating.
I find if you call it the Facebook, more people show up.
The Facebook, that's exactly right. But we're excited about it. We people like yourself who sort of reach out and say, hey, we have people who maybe haven't heard of this yet, and this is what makes the difference. So one person starts talking about it, that makes the difference for 50 other people.
Yep.
And, so that's what we really need, funding for, because all that takes time and energy. We rented a truck to take the tubs up to DeSoto and Highlands County, and, all those things that there
is a cost involved. Yeah.
So ZachMartinFoundation.com mm-hmm. and the BeHip.life.
Yes.
So 2 different sites, but basically all the information's there.
The BeHip.life takes you straight to ZachMartinFoundation.com, but you don't have to worry about the spelling and,
What do you want everybody to know and remember about Zach?
I want them to remember that it's tragic, but he had so much potential. And it's in our crazy lives, with all of the terrible things that happen on a daily basis, it's easy to forget and miss what's happening local, right under our noses at our high schools. These kids are working out very, very hard in the heat now, but also in the summertime when it's even worse. Right. And us as parents and as adults, and we have to make sure that they're safe. And that means asking questions, and that means demanding that these protective safety guards are put in place and that they're being used. I think so far, I have not had one school that has been, has given me a hard time about it or pushback. Every single time they have been excited about it. They have been thankful. And, even their coaches. Thank you so much for giving this to us. This is something that we can take and talk to our kids about now. This is, it gives them that opportunity to just have it there.
Great.
Anything else you want everybody to know that's watching or listening to the show? We appreciate you coming down. And
I know that's what I was getting ready to say. Thank you so much for braving the elements.
Yeah. Although it was originally scheduled for last week, which probably could have been a little worse with the traffic and the crowd. But But thank you so much, and good luck. And we'll keep pushing it out and telling everybody, and we'll make sure that all the website information is linked on everything that we send out.
Yeah, and just email us.
Okay,
we'll answer any questions you have.
Thanks a lot, Laurie.
Thank you so
much. Thank you. All right, folks, we are going to give you a TPI update right after we pay some bills here. I'm going to let the wife sneak out, and thank our guest. I want to, of course, tell you about Shuckers in the Cottage Bar, an open-air restaurant and bar located just a few steps down from the pier and a few steps down from Pete's Timeout. They're open 7 days a week, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner and late night menu. They have a band 7 days a week. Tomorrow, Shuckers is hosting a Roar Offshore broadcast. It's a viewing party, so you want to see the races with the actual play-by-play of the races. It is going to be on TV, and they're having a viewing party tomorrow, a nationally televised debut of the Roar Offshore, and that'll be at 10 o'clock. And the race, I believe, the race starts at, the race is over, actually, but the broadcast starts at 10. And then, of course, there's football, NFL football, that starts at 1 o'clock. Unless you're a Giants fan, you don't really care who's playing, and you just cry on Sundays and do other things. So check out Shuckers. But we'd also want to let you know about somebody, a new business that's going to be on the beach real soon, and that is the Fort Myers Tiki Tours.com. And if you want to get out on one of these things, you better call now and reserve your spot because you know they're going to fill up. The phone number is 239-887-0042. That's 239-887-0042. And they are going to be located, where they're going to be located. I know they told me they're going to be docked at Parrot Key, Salty Sam's Marina when they come down. They're just getting everything wrapped up. And they're going to have 2 boats. 90-minute tiki rides for up to 6 guests per boat, and the cost will be $39.99 plus Florida sales tax, of course, because the tax, Florida needs to have their sales tax. And the sunset flotation will be at $44.99 per person. Bring your own beer, bring your own food, but enjoy the wonderful view of everything out on the Gulf there. So that's FortMyersTikiTours.com, and of course, our Facebook Live broadcast is brought to you by Salty Dog Gallery and Gifts. We want to thank Carla for helping us out with the Facebook. She installed the wireless communications and the Wi-Fi and all that herself, so everything works fabulous. Thank you to all of our sponsors. We love you all so much for participating in our show. And I've got to call the co-host back over for the second half of our show. Dear, we're back on. The commercials are over. All right, guys, thank you very much for coming all the way down. We appreciate it. And back for the second half of the show. If you only knew how to control her own controls. So that was lovely, great stuff they're doing. It's called BeHip.life, the ZachMartinFoundation.com. And, devastating to lose your 16-year-old son in something that, it's just crazy to think about. That it's totally survivable and that you have to get that phone call. And it's just like, I just can't imagine the grief. But they're doing great things.
No, and I was on the website and on that UConn website for that Corey Stringer, who was a football player who also, I guess, same issue. And so, she's a great speaker. She's getting out there and making, turning such a tragedy into something positive and preventing for sure this, from happening again. And for $150.
I know. Who would have thought that those tubs that could save lives, it's only $150. You mean, I know it's a great thing they're doing, but for the schools not to have them like in their budget, we should have 5 of them at all different corners of the football field.
The other thing too is
for $150.
You got to have the ice on hand, which I'm sure there's a cost to that, and it's a pain in the neck. But if you need it, right, you need to have it.
We've got a freezer in the backyard that costs $75 Lowe's that you could stack just enough ice.
But I think they'd need a lot of ice.
Right. Well, what do they have now? They have nothing, right?
Right. That's the thing. Doing something quicker, and I really think, like she said about the cultural kind of thing. I know the kids, die hard, go.
Right.
But the thing to tell them is you want to be performing at your highest level, and you can't do that. And it will hurt the team if you get dehydrated and you start having heat strokes. So it's really beneficial from a team building thing for you to be performing at 100%. And so you need to be aware of it and empowering kids to know what the signs and symptoms are and empower them to ask for a break, for some ice water to get in the tub.
So it's the ZachMartinFoundation.com and BeHip Life. They have a really cool stuff that you can buy.
I
We
know.
got a couple of the bracelets that we're showing and some nice t-shirts. Now, I feel bad that we didn't give a donation, but we can go online and do that. You can do that. And if you're sitting at home watching the rain over by where you live, because it's not raining on the beach, it actually looks like it stopped raining. Do we see blue out there? Of course, it's always blue on the beach because it's always lovely on the beach. So come on down and
you can
enjoy.
always have breakfast.
That's right. You can always have breakfast, and you'll get even specialer treatment today. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Specialer? And you know what? To top it all off, the clock is fixed. Isn't
Well,
that special?
I'm
I
so
was
happy for you, dear.
involved in the clock.
I don't know why you have to make a mountain out of a molehill.
I don't
it's
know.
one thing
I know. Looking
to
back
say
on it,
and to comment on it, and then let it go. Wow.
I know. I should have. I did go too far with the clock.
You went too far,
I did.
and
I
then,
apologize to whoever was offended by my attempt at humor about the clock.
but attempt.
I just think
fail.
I just thought that, okay, it's like an iconic piece. Well, maybe it's just for a few people on this end of the island that maybe they should have spare parts somewhere.
Well,
But
listen,
I guess
we
they don't know
know.
what kind of parts. I mean, how many moving parts can there be in a clock?
It was unfortunate,
That
the
it happened on that
timing,
weekend. If
yeah.
it didn't happen,
No
maybe if
pun
it happened this
intended.
weekend, nobody would notice, right?
but
Yeah.
it's one thing to mention it and then move on.
I know. I apologize for running that one into the ground. The other one that was interesting
The
was,
other things you've run into
did
the
you
ground.
guys see?
Here we
Did
go.
you see the sign at the Lani Kai? The sign
I did not.
that
I was down here, but I didn't
some
see it.
creep or some person pulled off. I don't know how they figured it, but they pulled off certain letters from the Lani Kai, and it made some vulgar thing, which was just hilarious.
If you can figure that out, can you not do something good with the sense
I
that you
know.
have in your head?
You're talking about me.
Well, you, but no, the person that
Everybody
made
was
the
having a
vulgar
good time with
sign.
it. It was even the couple
I-
employees that
it's-
worked there were on there. It was
I
just
know,
a funny
but-
thing, but they fixed it the next day, so we're not picking
Well,
on them
see,
today.
They got on it quick.
Yeah.
They fixed it quick.
Well, I won't go into that. All right. So we're everything that we've been waiting for now. Give you an update. I just want to let you know that yesterday I spoke to Bev Grady at length from the law firm of, I know I'm not going to say this right, but I think it's Rotzel and Andrus. She has expertise in environmental, zoning, and land use, administrative, governmental relations, and real estate matters. So
Okay.
she knows her stuff.
Mhm.
And she's a lawyer on top of all that. So the appeal.
Well, I would think so.
And if I get any of this wrong, somebody will correct me, but I'm pretty sure I did the research the right way. So I'm share with you what I learned
Hang on, folks.
from Beverly and calling the court and talking to a few other people, that the appeal is now in the hands of the 2nd District Court of Appeals. You know where that is?
Downtown.
No, it's in Lakeland. Who knew that the 2nd District Court of Appeals is in Lakeland? But I guess every once in a while they come here, like to spread around their love of being the 2nd District Court of Appeals. The process that was ignited by Chris Patton and her financial backers, you know who they are, could take now between 8 months and 12 months. That's what Bev said, that from her experience, she thinks it could take between 8 months and 12 months. There are two issues that the Court of Appeals will look at. Did Judge Laboda follow the law, and was Chris Patton given due process? And if you read through the appeal, it's like 46 pages. Some of what they put in there was she wasn't given due process, and so you should read the appeal if you haven't. So those are the two things that.
Did you read it?
I did.
46 pages?
I kind of scanned. I did it one of the speed reading things. I got to the pictures and the
Which
good
means
parts. No, I read it. So what can happen is, if the court finds in Patton's favor, the issue gets sent back to Judge Laboda for what sounds like a do-over. All right. And another delay, of course. If the court upholds Judge Laboda's decision, that's it. It's over. That's the end of it.
All right.
I mean,
we
everybody,
hope for that.
I'm not going to try and jinx anything, but if everything goes according to how it's going, or it has gone, then, hopefully it'll be over before 8 months. So Ms. Grady said, very rarely does a case like this go to the state Supreme Court unless something is found to be unconstitutional. And didn't seem like there was anything in that appeal that the lawyer was claiming was unconstitutional, or maybe there was. I'd have to go back and read it, but maybe they stick that in there just in case the other things fail. She said that the 2nd District Court of Appeals is normally the final stop for things like these. So now both the town and TPI have 30 days to respond to the appeal. So it's kind of like a back and forth thing. Are you learning anything?
Thank
you very much. And I'm not even a lawyer. I just play one on the Facebook. So they have 30 days to respond to Patton's appeal. And the town attorney, I talked to the town attorney on email yesterday. He said that they are working on it. So they haven't sent it back yet, but they are getting ready to. And there'll be a council meeting tomorrow, or Monday rather. So I'm wondering if the council will bring it up either just to discuss it or maybe an executive session when they talk about lawsuits like that. But they're working on the appeal. And let's see. Then Patton gets another chance to respond to what TPI in the town says. It's like, doesn't everybody know how everybody feels? No, it's like a tennis game. So let's see. Then there could be a request for oral arguments. Like, I guess if Conadaris wants to string this out for as long as he can, he's probably going to request oral arguments. That doesn't mean he's going to be granted that.
Well, you don't know if that's true if that's a judgment made by the judges. Like maybe they need more information. And
listen, you didn't talk to these people.
Oral.
I'm giving you the scoop here. All right, you're not going to try and stick your opinion in here. This is fact, not opinion. But
be careful.
So Pat can also request oral arguments in front of the court, and obviously, if Conadaris, wants to string it out, then my guess is now we're speculating that that's what they would do. So it'd be another waiting game. I also called the clerk of the courts at the 2nd District, and will be kept up to date on all the filings. So we have everything that we need to know. So right now we're waiting for the town. And we're waiting for TPI to respond. And then it's Patton's turn or Conadaris' turn to hit the ball back in their court. So what do you think of all that?
So the bottom line is you're going to keep everybody updated with your quasi-legal opinion.
Yeah. Well, now that I feel like I have some extra connections with Bev, she wants me calling her Bev.
She's going to end them quickly.
Bev is...
She's going to be like, I'm out.
She works for the law firm of Rotzel, and Andrus. I know I butchered that. I apologize for that, Bev. Did you know her husband was the mayor of Fort Myers? Not Beach, but Fort Myers. Oh. Does that ring a bell with you? Grady, Mayor Grady? I don't know if that's the same last name, but does it ring a bell?
I think it does. I think when I had my incident down at the park in the river, I think he was the one. When that old guy.
Okay, yeah. I don't think our holy cats. I don't think our listening audience and viewing audience knows about that incident. Why don't you refresh our memory on that? We were down by the river.
Well, you were at the gym. I was down by the river with my daughter and my mom and an older gentleman.
A little faster. Tell it a little faster.
All right. Well, there was a barrier. Really, you just spent all that time. There was a barrier down.
Concerned about that. So
there was a barrier down. An older gentleman with a walker walked off the end of this barrier and fell into the Caloosahatchee. And so myself and another woman,
she jumped in.
People were standing around watching him drown. So we jumped in.
When you got in, did you put your arm around his throat and kind of paddle back to the wall?
He was not. He was confused, and so which was good because he wasn't combative, and so we just lifted him up and we held on to.
Did you swim back with one arm?
We swam to a
Did they drop a rope down?
No, they dropped a ladder down, and we had to push him up the ladder, which was pretty difficult.
Did you put your hand on his behind?
I had to.
Oh,
dear, you got to get him out.
I know.
That was what the police and the fire department. That was their solution.
Put your hand on his butt and push him up.
Get him up here.
So the moral of that story is you were invited to City Hall.
Yeah, and we got an award on a plaque.
We did.
Well, I did.
Oh, okay.
I did, like a good Samaritan.
Where do you have it hanging now?
I have it in my spare room.
You do?
I do.
I don't think it's hanging anywhere.
Well, it's not hanging because we got the house. It was a good Samaritan award.
Of you being a hero?
No, just a good Samaritan.
Did they give you a commendation for the time that you got robbed? Your purse got snatched from you at Albertsons, and you were running after them? This is a good story, everyone.
No, we talked about that one. I will say that I was less than thrilled when the police officer asked how old I was, and I was 39 at the time. And he was like, 39? What are you doing going in there? Like, I'm so decrepit. Let me not help anybody.
Nice.
But, I just think he was shocked.
Yeah. So something must be malfunctioning on the Facebook because you see the number of people watching. That can't be accurate. Something has gone drastically wrong there.
No, I think people have had enough.
Tons of people that are up there. So you went to City Hall. Was it Mayor Grady that gave you the commendation?
I think that
you don't remember.
Sounds familiar.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
Right. Do you want to tell the story about? Okay, you don't want to tell that story. Okay. What I wanted to talk about and see. Did you have something? You had a list of something that you wanted to talk about?
I thought we were going to talk about the turtle.
Right, the turtle incident. Go ahead.
No, well, now you lost my notebook.
Well, the turtle, what happened? Did you guys read the story that was in, what was it, in the Fort Myers Beach Bulletin? The 600 turtles? Is that what you're talking about?
It was more than that. Two guys had been taking more than their legal limit of a bunch of different kinds of turtles and selling them illegally to various places, including overseas.
What is the legal limit of turtles?
I don't know, but they were way over the legal limit.
I didn't even know you were allowed to catch turtles.
Apparently you can, but I think you have to have permits and you have to know what you're doing, and you can't be selling them overseas. And they were getting, there was other charges that were given to them.
There's 2 pages worth of it.
Yeah, not just marine life obstructions. There was also drug charges. And so
were they drugging the turtles?
No, they themselves.
Okay.
So,
well, they were 23 years old and 39 years old.
Yep.
And it says that they seized hundreds of illegally harvested turtles as a result of a 6-month investigation. Wow,
I think it was
6-month investigation about a turtle ring. Who knew?
Yeah.
It's like a turtle smuggling ring.
I mean, they're like between 300 and some of those turtles fetch 10 grand, they were saying, over in Asia.
$10,000 for a turtle? What do they do with them?
I don't know what they're doing.
You know what they're doing with them over there, turtle
You know what
soup.
else they found? These guys had possession of bear parts.
Really?
So these guys, I don't know.
You know, I have a question for you.
They had so depleted some of the areas where they were harvesting or capturing these turtles that they then had to expand out to other places.
That's right. They're Kathy's right. You shouldn't even be allowed to take turtles and do
I
stuff
know,
that.
Kathy, I agree with you, but I guess for some turtles, there's a bag limit. But they were way, and it was awful. It was awful.
Is the event still going on today? I doubt it, right?
That's not today.
Oh, it's next weekend?
It's the 26th.
Okay, so the event that we're talking about is the Surfers for Autism, which is going to be on the beach next. Thankfully, it's next weekend. And we interviewed Moose, the CEO of the organization, on Wednesday night, our Wednesday night show, which was a complete nightmare because Ed didn't know how to work the equipment on Wednesday night. 6 o'clock at night is way too late to have a show. And I was getting tired and I couldn't figure out what I wasn't turning on, what was turning off.
And then at the last minute, you got it on.
I figured it out
two people left.
By the way, what?
When we had two people left.
If you didn't, who did we interview first? Tim and Cindy from Roar Offshore. What a great weekend they pulled off last weekend. We interviewed them. You can listen to that show audio only on our app at beachtalkradio.com, or you can download the app from the Apple App Store, or if you have iHeartRadio, if you have Spotify, or if you have Pocket Casts. What is your favorite podcast listening app, dear?
I just used the regular one that was on my phone to begin with.
Apple. Yeah. I think that's what everybody uses. What do you use, folks? What is your favorite podcast listening app? Do you even listen to podcasts, or is it just the Facebook that you watch it on? The other story I wanted to bring up that I couldn't believe, this happened in Wisconsin, Madison.
Really?
Okay. Security guard, an African-American security guard, was told there was a rowdy student in the school, and the student was pushing the principal, and he was getting, nasty. He was getting in trouble. So the principal calls the security guard. The security guard, who's African-American, comes and helps out, and the kid starts calling him the N-word.
Ooh.
He starts yelling at him. He starts saying it this way and that way and that way, and he's not saying the N-word. He's not saying it like I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, dear?
Yes.
Just so you know, he's actually saying the word. So the security guard says, "Stop calling me the N-word. Stop calling the N-word." And then he says the word, "Stop calling me."
Mm-hmm.
It's on the CNN page right now. He got fired.
Oh.
He got fired. You know why? Take a guess.
Because you're not allowed to use those
They have
words.
zero tolerance.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense to you? I mean, isn't there a time that common sense comes into play at all? Like when Chester wants to have a permit, there's common sense.
Right. I'm not whatever, but if you say zero tolerance,
Oh,
then
come
there
on.
really can't be any wiggle room for interpretation, which you can disagree with that, but I'm just saying you can't.
It makes no sense to me that somebody is being called that in a negative way, and he tells somebody to stop calling him that, a white kid, and he gets fired. There has to be some common sense infused into things.
I do agree.
Like when I got criticized on Twitter last night, which drove me crazy, right?
Yep. You said you weren't going to bring this up, so I'm not bringing it up.
I'm bringing it up. Forget about it. I don't like when people, you can criticize me all you want. You can criticize about the show. You can write it on Facebook and do all that.
Actually, we did get some criticism about the
know,
show.
That one, I don't know if that was a good criticism, though. That wasn't constructive criticism,
Nope.
but we'll let that one slide. So what do you think, folks? Do you think he should have gotten fired? If you can't say the word, you shouldn't be able to say the word at all? Or you're saying that they did the right thing? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying...
you don't know what to say.
No, I'm just saying that if you have a zero tolerance, that's part of the problem.
You know what? The kid should have got his ass kicked. That's what should have happened. Don't you think?
I think then he would have gotten fired as well.
So you know what? There's of course he's filed a lawsuit or whatever, trying to get his job back. Guess who's going to pay his expenses?
Who?
Cher. Is Cher still around? She is. Bet you didn't know that.
Around.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say.
Oh, good. You have a topic. Thank you.
No, I'm
so tired of carrying the show with all the topics. Go ahead.
I hope that the surfers thing, I'm a little worried there's been some issue with the red tide that's been creeping. And
I
so
haven't
far
seen
it's
any
been
red tide. I haven't seen any.
Well, it's
dead
not,
fish.
it's off. It's off and it's south.
Oh.
So we're going to hope that it stays offshore.
Just to
and
clarify,
south.
it's south.
Yeah. It's
down by Naples.
Down by Naples.
Or Miami.
But you can always check the NOAA website, NOAA.gov. So we're going to hope that this
we are
out there.
Operating in a no red tide zone, dear. I want you to be aware of that. It's a no red tide zone.
But to that end, when we had Jim Adderholt on last week,
very nice.
It was only a week ago.
Yeah.
And he talked about his idea, which I think is a great idea, that as the snowbirds come down, to really get them educated about our issues so that when they go back, they can write to their congressman and keep it in the forefront, not just the Floridians, but people that enjoy this area and appreciate this area, so that when legislation comes up and everybody else has forgotten about it, that the folks that love Fort Myers Beach, as there are many, will help us.
You know, there was speaking of the beach, there was a water summit on Wednesday. I don't know, sometimes just talking about things and my mind just drifts off because it's a little boring sometimes. Dear. I'm just saying. There was a water summit on Wednesday. I didn't read anything about it. Did you? Did you see anything about it? There was a big. Everybody was down there. Big deal. Kevin Ruane and Chauncey Goss and I think Anita was there. All the big wigs were there.
I wonder if Calusa Water Keepers was probably there.
Surprised you weren't invited. So impeach or not impeach? That is the question.
I'm not. All of the information and then make a decision based on that.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of him in general, so I would try to remain objective.
All right.
And that's all we can hope that they do.
So, look at that. The sun is out now. Isn't that nice? I wish we could have been out there now. It's the second time in a year that we've had to come inside, which is pretty good. 2 times out of 84-ish shows that we've had to come inside. It is a nice breezy day outside. So we invite you to come down to Peach Time Out. Come down to the Shuckers Party tomorrow to see the race, the Roar Offshore. They signed
That's a little hard for you to say.
It is a little hard for me to say. Shouldn't try and say it so fast. They signed a 20-year contract with, I don't know who you signed that contract with, but they did.
The county.
No, they don't sign it with the county. They just, I think a bunch of them were drinking after the show or so after the race, and they just said 20 years. They just all put their name on it.
On what? A napkin?
It's a piece of paper, and they tacked it up somewhere down at Diamond Head. That's what I think happened.
Well, hopefully, for sure, they'll be back next year, and it'll be bigger and better. And
totally organized from the beginning because everybody knows the process now and how much.
Well, and they also addressed in the podcast how they're going to work towards getting, the big complaint that we heard was people couldn't hear stuff.
Yeah,
they couldn't hear who was racing, who was in first, yada yada. So, hopefully they will. They have plans to get speakers on there. And
your dad says Peach, but he's bracketed by Doreen and Steve, who say don't impeach. He lives in liberal Orlando.
Right.
This is a little more conservative.
My dad can hold his own.
He can.
That's all right.
That's
and
right.
everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Right, dear. You are correct about that.
You have got to stop ramping up the outrage.
I am not just want all you Facebook folks to know I will not be on Facebook on Sunday because I got in trouble yesterday for going way down into the Facebook rabbit hole. I don't even remember what the topic was last week. What was I getting people?
I don't know because I
didn't
didn't see you all week. I'm sure it had to do with your silly clock thing.
I know the clock. The clock is
It's just-
working.
it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
As I was walking around the Times Square, I keep thinking, man, this is such a great place for like a pavilion, like just a place with an overhang. Is that what you call it, a pavilion, where bands can play and stay? You know, the thing that John paid for out of his own pocket over there. I'm talking about like a cement one with steps, and where the information booth is would be a great spot for it. The guys could get up there, and George could do his magic up there, and Chester could come down and do his painting up there. It'd be super cool. But they are getting this whole place redone, which is nice. The sidewalk by Lonnie Kai looks nice. The only thing over there that looks nice is the sidewalk right now. So if you're coming down to Fort Myers Beach, go admire the sidewalk and then just keep on going. All right, folks, we had a lovely hour. Thank you to Laurie Giordano for coming down.
Yes.
It's BeFit.life and the ZachMartinFoundation.com. Zach lost his life at 16 years old. I still can't believe that.
Heat stroke is an issue for everybody at the beach and all around.
It's like you're drinking wine with the microphone with your pinky finger out. Why do you do it that way?
Sorry.
And we will be back next Saturday. 4 weeks we won't be here, right? Is it 4 weeks now? 4 weeks. We'll be in Atlanta, Georgia, at the world's toughest mudder. 24-hour race, 5-mile obstacle, and the goal is 50 miles. So I haven't done it yet. It's our 5th shot at it. So we'll be back next Saturday.
I'm going to have to drag you because you're getting that 50 miles.
Such a sissy. After like 30 miles, I'm such a sissy.
Hey, you know what, though?
Everything hurts.
It's going to be cold, so that'll be good.
Is it going to be good?
Yeah, it's going to be good because you won't have any problems with heat.
Okay.
You'll stay hydrated and
I see what you're saying. You're trying to make a connection to our guest. Come on down to Pete's Timeout, everybody. Oh, and don't forget, if you need your house redone,
get a hold of them, get on their website, see all the amazing pictures that they have. I love the use of teal, of blue that Nikki infuses in many of her designs, and it gives a very chic, beachy feel to the homes down here. So please give them a call and get down for all of our sponsors. And we have the Tiki people coming on, the Tiki
They're arguing now. We should just leave the Facebook up so they can argue about.
See, but this is what I'm saying about outrage sells, and it's
sells.
I mean,
I know.
When
you can't really talk about national politics because you wind up pissing off 50% of the people, and you can't have really a rationalized discussion about, because I mean, look at the Whale Act. They're not rational in any way whatsoever. Did you see, like, Nancy Pelosi gets up and walks out of a meeting, and he's tweeting at her, and she's saying this, and he's saying that, and you roll your eyes thinking, okay, are we all 12?
I was watching something at the gym this morning.
How many times did you have to say in the 1 hour that you went to the gym this morning? I've heard it 4 times already.
It was between. Now you made me lose.
Did you go to the gym today, by the way?
Yeah, it was this morning.
What were you watching?
And another female.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Wow.
Hillary thinks that she's a Russian spy or something.
Woo! Some of the vitriol between those two, I was like, what? That is the kind of stuff we don't need.
What?
You don't have to genderize.
Yes. It was a cat fight. It was not a cat fight.
No,
maybe it was a male cat fight.
Oh my goodness! All right, we have to go now.
It's not a cat fight if they're yelling at each other.
That's a female term. You don't have to be a misogynist.
I didn't mean it that way. When I was growing up, that's what people called it when girls were pulling each other's hair.
You need to get smarter. You're too old.
It's too late for that.
Be so stupid.
The place is picking up now. Business is picking up. We got to
get out of here so they can have seats.
You want to finish your thought there?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, everybody. See you next week. It is 10 o'clock, and the sun is out shining. So we will. Let's see. They're all fighting. I should leave the Facebook up, but we'll see you in a week, everybody. Look on the Facebook for a list of our guests for next Saturday, and have a lovely weekend. Dance it out, dear. Dance it out.